Hello, hello. Welcome. I am so happy to get started today with you all. I'm going to be presenting a little bit on 10 tips for becoming a successful mortgage agent. And I know that the audience here is a lot of successful mortgage agents already. And I love that you're looking to learn a little more because I'm sure even if you just get one thing out of this, it could be big money for you. So it's always worthwhile. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Laura Scarlett Martin. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Matrix Mortgage Global. We focus primarily on private lending as well as marketing and training. We're one of Canada's top brokerages, and we have a team of over 80 agents right across Canada. So I've been in the industry for 16 years now. This is my 16th year. I started when I was 20 years old. And yeah, boy, have I learned a lot since day one. It's definitely a marathon and not a sprint. So anyone that's in the industry for your first like 1 to 5 years, honestly, it does take a little while to establish yourself. Not all years are going to be crazy busy. We had a very easy interest rate environment for the last 3 or 4 years now. Probably, honestly, for the last 5 years, the rates have been pretty low and the bar again pretty low for getting people approved. So anyone that's been in the industry for longer, like 12, 13, 15 years, you guys remember the great financial crisis, the fallout that happened there, and how lending was easy and then lending got really hard. And it got really hard to get your clients approved with the banks. It became nearly impossible to get any deals done for a short period of time there, with many lenders closing their doors permanently, including Wells Fargo and CIBC. So there's always going to be these ebbs and flows, these changes in the industry. We just have to roll with the punches. And what I've done to make myself relevant, to be consistent, and to really get more meaning and empowerment out of this career so that it's just beyond selling money. Because if you look at it, mortgages are a Latin term for death pledge, and we're selling death pledges. So if you think about it that way, it's not the most motivating career, okay? It's going to be difficult to motivate yourself to make sales calls to strangers. Sometimes that can be pretty unnerving, right? Nobody likes rejection. Nobody likes paperwork. Nobody likes, having to look at themselves on video and go through those growing pains of making your first pieces of content. But these types of trials and tribulations are absolutely critical to your growth. And, we just got to suck it up and do it. But one way that I got a lot more passion and meaning out of my mortgage career was by focusing on thought leadership and how I could educate and provide insight to other people in the real estate finance industry, as well as, of course, client facing, investor facing, and so on. So I love to nerd out on news articles, marketing strategies, sales techniques, and everything else, and share that knowledge because knowledge is power. And I don't believe that you having this knowledge will be any threat to my well-being or business whatsoever. In fact, we should really work together a lot more because there's so much that each of us bring to the table, and it's much better when we're just honing in on our own personal strengths and relying on others and our community to present their own personal strengths. For instance, I'm not much of a commercial broker. When I get a commercial file, I usually have a co-broker partner I send that to. And likewise, I get a lot of private lending business from other brokers because that's my bread and butter. And I have a lot of access to lenders for that. So think about for a moment before we get started what your unique value add is, what your particular area of expertise is in, maybe from before brokering, and how you can use your own competitive advantage and create a platform on top of that. All right. But that's it for me. As you know, I'm big on LinkedIn, big on thought leadership. I've got the Brokers Playbook podcast, which is now more of a training platform as well. And I am a conference speaker, mostly just passionate about, like I said, spreading education and knowledge around and insights. So I'm going to get right into it. I've got 10 tips for you. And this is number one. Tip number one, leverage the uncertainty that comes with the high interest rate environment. So now that we're in the upper 5 range of 5-year fixed terms, this has been not seen since honestly before the 2008 GFC. And if we're looking at the long range of what's going on with interest rates over the last 40 years, the average is closer to 6 or 7%. So really, we're in line with the average rate amounts. Anyone that was long enough or knows about the early 90s and late 80s, they got as high as 18%. Now, obviously, nobody could tolerate an 18% interest rate on their $1 million mortgage, but thankfully it won't go that high again. However, there was certainly room for it to go up. I mean, we were at a 0.25% floor. There's nowhere lower to go. So they had to go up. But what happens in a high interest rate environment is people get really squicky. Investors stop buying houses. Homeowners, they stay put because they don't want to renew. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to budge. But there's a lot of uncertainty that's happening here. And so your clients are really going to look to your coaching, to your mentorship. They're going to welcome your outreach just to talk shop, just to tell them what's going on, to assuage them of any concerns they have, and to really advise them on what they should do based on their specific rate and term conditions. So use this as a really great jumping off point to start conversations with basically everyone, anyone, everyone, and anyone. Because you could be getting business from your banker, your lawyer, other realtors, your family, your friends, your coworkers if you have a day job. Absolutely everyone is interested in hearing about these things. Furthermore, there's a really great opportunity to reach out to media outlets. So, I mean, I have the Globe and Mail reporter reaching out to me all the time, asking me what we should, be advising our clients to do, what's going on with some OFSI regulations or FSRA regulations. So it's really a great opportunity to be proactive, to reach out to your local newspapers, media publications, news stations, and say, hey, listen, I'm a mortgage broker or agent. I've got X amount of years of experience, and I'm available to speak on these topics should your viewership be interested. And they most certainly will be. But if you don't ask, you don't get. You got to go make a list of potential media publications, create an email, send it out. But I'm telling you, it's worth it. People will be more likely to take your advice, to work with you, and to seek you out if you are a proven thought leader. And I'm going to get into some more thought leadership later. Tip number 2, related to number 1, clients want to be told and not sold. What does this mean? Don't use your old sales techniques. You have to just give them more information. You have to give them all the solid reasoning behind why they can't get the mortgage amount that they wanted, or why they can't get the rate that they wanted, or why anything, right? Like why they should take your bundle instead of some other brokers. So you really need to be willing to explain everything to them and go deeper than they might even expect from you, so that you can really show your expertise. Like I said, your high pressure sales tactics, they're not going to work. They're not going to create good relationships. Eventually it's going to breed bad blood. So I highly recommend that you just go with the knowledge route and really sell your expertise and be someone that is really knowledgeable and credible in this area. Number 3, and it seems like I'm talking a lot of things roundabout, right? Like I'm not like, hey, you need to like check documentation way more. Or you need to like call your lenders or whatever, right? Like I'm actually saying a lot of things that are just on the outskirts of your mortgage agent activities. And this one especially goes for that. So this is number 3, find a cause bigger than mortgages. Matrix has a few taglines. Bigger than mortgages is one of them, because we are partnering with Canada Basketball, with MLSE, with food insecurity initiatives. Personally, I am extremely passionate about gender equality, diversity and inclusion, as well as just in general social justice and integrity in the industry and professionalism. and opportunity for all. So I'm very outspoken on these topics, and you would do very well to show your cards, to show your heart, to do more heart-centered activities, including hobbies that you might have dropped off on. Again, you might ask, what the hell does this have to do with mortgages? It's about relating to people. The more you relate to people, the more relatable you are, the more they'll want to work with you. The more authentic you are in terms of following your passions, being outspoken on things that you are genuinely concerned about, passionate about, and batting for is key. And this means that you have to pick a side, okay? You can't be neutral on every topic. If something has gone wrong, if there was injustice, like in the case of Fortress Capital taking almost $1 billion of investor funds and FISRA, or formerly Fisco, doing very little to nothing about it, you have to take a stand and say it and not be so concerned about the what if. Because if you've done your homework and if you have a genuinely informed opinion, you should share it. And if anyone doesn't like that opinion, then they probably didn't like you anyway, and they've just shown their cards. There's lots of people that will like you for you, and you need to give them a chance to actually know you. And that means showing what you do beyond mortgages and to really jump in with both feet on those types of things. Get more involved with your community, get more involved with your kids' sports teams, on the PTA, whatever it is, be bigger than mortgages and talk about it. Number 4, LinkedIn. Okay, this is mostly communication stuff. All right. So as you know, I am massively fanatical about LinkedIn. I have over 30,000 connections, and I purposely did that because this business is sheerly about networking. It's about amplifying your voice, and it's about what's possible when people from different professional services get together. And LinkedIn is the absolute best platform for this because you can search for your target market on LinkedIn. If you want to go and approach real estate lawyers or immigration lawyers because you have an angle where you want to focus on new Canadian mortgages, you can do that. You can go search in LinkedIn, go open that tab, advanced filters, go search for title, immigration lawyer in the Ontario region or Canada region or whatever it is region. From there, add them. You should have at least 5,000 people on your LinkedIn. You can easily add 100 to 150 people a week. This is possible for you, okay? So once you do that, once you've added your target audience, and then you're talking about things like how new Canadians can get approved and what the criteria is for that, and some success stories and some challenges and some sob stories and everything else, you're going to have just the right audience for that content. So that makes sense. You're going to get a lot of traction there. And then you're going to have the ability to use automation tools or do it the old-fashioned way and just copy and paste. You can message them directly, start requesting discovery calls, start doing things like offering webinars in collaboration with other professional services, and really asking people that have podcasts if you could be on their podcast and share your insights with them. Those are all things you can do through the LinkedIn platform. But again, that's not everything. It's not all social media. In fact, people are 80% more likely to read a text message than anything else. So if you are able to get in that text inbox, you better get in there. And you can start by picking up on all those conversations that you just let die out, because of course that's what naturally happens. Your text message dies out. The conversation's got to end somewhere. So just spend 2 hours, go through your phone, go all the way back. If you got to go back a year or two, that's cool. And just pick up where you left off on all those different conversations, and don't go for the hard sell. Like, you could go for something like, hey, how's it going? You know, I've been thinking about you. How are you? I want to hear about you and what you're planning in 2023. Listen, get your listening ears on. See if there's some way that you can help them achieve their goals, even if that's an introduction to someone that you know, or a testimonial or anything like that, something easy. And then you can launch into how you may be able to help them. Like I said, you can talk about some hot topic things like the high interest rate environment, the trigger rates, the recession, etc. So pick up where you left off. A lot of clients are just right in front of you, not far away. They just need to be re-engaged, and your CRM can't do that for you. You got to pick up your phone, and you got to do it the old-fashioned way when it comes to text. Number 5, automating of mundane tasks. So these are 3 things that I use constantly. Calendly, for those that don't have it yet, is extremely useful. No, I'm not getting paid by any of these companies. And although I should, okay, but Calendly is incredible. So it probably saves me an hour a week just of time I would have spent going back and forth seeing, hey, what time is good for you to meet? Oh, Tuesday at 9. No, that doesn't work. How about Wednesday at 3? No, that doesn't work for me. Back and forth. Okay, now I got to create the calendar invite. Total waste of time. Send them the Calendly link. Period. Here's your link. Book a time that works for you. You've already shown what your schedule is. It automatically inserts in the calendar. It automatically has options where you can reschedule. It has their phone number, it has their email, all their contact info. It's highly efficient. And if you are doing things, again, like LinkedIn messaging blitzes, you can just have that Calendly link in there so people can quickly book a discovery call with you. Secondly is Loom or BombBomb. Both are good. Now, these are video messaging platforms in a sense. I use Loom to explain things to clients, such as a breakdown of what their term sheet is or their rates, basically a way to sell the commitment. So if they're like, hey, if I sell my house for X amount of money and I have $150,000 from that sale and my income is $87,000, how much can I get approved for a mortgage, right? That's their basic question. So, and hey, could I hang on to both properties potentially, refi and whatever? So if you have different things that you're breaking down, if there's multiple options for them to pursue, I highly recommend doing a video in this style, perhaps with, a chart where you can draw things in a Sharpie, or you can use mind map software and do a screen share. All of these things really work well, but you can explain everything to the client while screen sharing so they can see you, they can get your arm cues, they can see what's going on. And this way they won't be dragging things out with more questions and more questions and more questions. They'll feel really taken care of. They'll also commend you for being so tech savvy. So you can also include these in emails. It shows a little GIF of what the video is, and this really helps in terms of them actually opening it. Whereas, if you just had a really lengthy email explaining these things, they probably would start skimming at some point. And it would take you much longer to type it than to simply explain it in words. Lastly, G Suite templates. First of all, if you're not using G Suite, you're crazy. Secondly, you should, and if you are, use the templates. Always. Key ones to have include a intro one, like if you're just saying, hey, this is what I do, this is how I work, these are the next steps. I often will do a 10-minute qualifying call with new clients on the phone and follow up with a templated email which explains what we just spoke about, the high-level details of the application, that they'll need an appraisal for things to be confirmed, and a short shopping list of documents that they'll need to get me to get started. So, I can just rinse and repeat with this. It's really key to keep note of what your client has told you, because you are basing your efforts off of what they said. So it's also confirming what they said is accurate and true. So use these G Suite templates. You have one for reviews as soon as you're done the mortgage transaction. Hey, if you like my service, can you go rate me on Google? Hey, if you like my service, can you give me a referral? Hey, here's the instructions to lawyer template. Here's the deal submission template. Whatever it is, templates. Okay, the 10-minute qualifier. This is probably going to be the best one for you if you are getting stuck on the phone with clients for more than 30 minutes. And in some cases, you'll talk to them for an hour and walk away without an app. You know what that means? You'll walk away without a deal. So instead of the typical thing people do, which is, hey, client, okay, yeah, you want to get approved? Cool. I'll send you the mortgage application and you'll send it back to me. Okay, all right, good. Bye. So you hang up, you send them the link to your app online or whatever it is, and maybe they fill it out, maybe they fill it out halfway. It might take them a week. They may never do it. Instead of all of that, or worse, you're on the phone with them and they just ask you questions like, what's your lowest rate and how long will it take? And blah, 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 I got an inheritance and this and that and this crazy long story. And you walk away without an app. Like, that's a fail, guys. So the mortgage application is very straightforward. Name, number, email, normal stuff. Got it. You can get their 2 pieces of ID and confirm their DOB and all that stuff later. You need LTV, property address, so you can purview it and get the value ASAP. Once you have those 2 things, property value, purview shows you roughly what their mortgage balance is. You really need that first brush question. Do you have down payment? Do you have equity? As we all know, these are non-starters. No money, no dice. If someone says, hey, can I borrow down payment? Bro, find some money. No. Can I use other people's money? Find someone else to do that. You can use other people's services for that. No, thank you. Can I, buy with 5% down on $1 million property? No, find more money. Can I get a 90% LTV refi? No, wait till your home value goes up. Like if you just got an appraisal and it came in like that, it's not going to get any better. That appraisal is 3-4 months old. It's going to get worse and worse. So some people, they're just stuck where they're at, and you need to just level with them ASAP. And the best way to do that is make your first qualifying questions. What is your home value? What is your mortgage balance or down payment amount? And, what kind of transaction are you doing? Because if they do have, 75 LTV threshold, well, that's cool, except for unless it's land, in which case it needed to be 50%. So don't beat a dead horse either, right? If someone says, I want to buy a parcel of land, it's a $7 million deal, and they're saying, okay, can you do it at 70% LTV? And you call 4, 5, 6 lenders and they all say no, 50 max. Stop beating a dead horse. Get back to them, break the news. Listen, it is what it is. You got to find the money. Okay? That's it. I'm sorry that you're in this situation. I did not put that gun to your head and tell you to purchase that without a waiver. You know what I mean? So don't make other people's mess your problem if you can't fix it. But make sure that in this qualifying call, you're getting that key details. And from there, you can get further info, right? Especially the income conversation. I find that people are very complicated when it comes to this. Most people are not just simply salaried anymore, at least not most people that cross my path. So I'll ask them, what's your income, in a few ways. Like, how much do you make? How much did you make last year? How much did you really make? How much is under your mattress? What did you make as per your T4, your T1, or your NOA? What did you make as per your bank statements, right? These are the key questions here. And you need to know what that sliding scale is so that you can accurately portray them to the lender. And of course, if they're self-employed, what manner of self-employment? How old is your company? And you start to go into those deeper questions. But you'll find that when someone's filling out the mortgage application, you don't get anywhere near that depth of an answer. You're just going to get whatever first one they told you. I also briefly ask, how's your credit, good, bad, or ugly? Because generally people know where they stand, and they're pretty honest, I find. So if you know these things, if you know their LTV, if you know the range of income, and if you know their range of credit, you can give them some answers. And man, people want answers. It is not acceptable to say, okay, I'll get back to you, with no, at least, teaser of an answer. So what I usually do, if I've determined that, yes, there's certainly equity as a first brush and they have great credit or so-so credit even, I'll say, okay, great. Based on what you've told me, which will need to be confirmed with an appraisal, you can get approved at 75% loan to value, assuming that a value comes in. The rates right now are in between 4.9% to 5.8% for A lenders. They're in between 5.5 and 6.5 for B lenders, and they're north of 7.99 on private deals if we have to go private. So you are 100% approved. Whether you're going to get an A, B, or C rate is going to be up to you. It's going to depend on confirming your credit, but that's the short answer. You can easily calculate private rates on your calculator on your phone. If you need to pop open a quick mortgage calculator, you can do that too. People like to hear generally what amount they're going to be paying as opposed to the rate. I find when you sell the mortgage payment amount, it's a lot better than selling the rate, especially since all the rates are garbage right now. Everything's going to feel like a step down. But if you can do this, you will convert way more of those soft leads, those conversations that could have just stopped at, hey, how's it going? And I have this problem and maybe you can help me. You will actually convert those into apps. You can just have them sign the client consent form and send their ID in afterwards. And that's that. You can key it all in on your own time. Number 8, create content about trigger rates and catch up with all your variable rate mortgage clients and inquiries. So this kind of goes back to point number 1, which is talking about the high interest rate environment. But trigger rates are a massive buzzword, and it's one that hasn't been used before. We haven't really reached trigger rate in my memory. So this is really new territory for everyone. And it's going to be highly useful to be making content about this versus like basic stuff like how to save for a down payment or 5 steps to improve your credit. Like that's highly generic. So you need to talk about new and niche things that are a concern to others. If you're ever wondering, what should I do content about? It should be about things that people are asking you about. What is a common problem? Because people only want to hear things that will solve their problems. If they already have a house, they don't care about saving for down payment. Remember, there's 7 million mortgage holders in Canada, and there was only 300 or 400 real estate transactions in Toronto in September. So do the math. Mostly people are homeowners. 33% of those homeowners have a variable rate mortgage, and they're freaking out. So you're going to have highly relatable, highly engaged content if you are talking about things like trigger rates, like negative amortization, like what to do when you're in this situation. And I found that mostly the banks aren't being proactive in reaching out to people and offering them fixed rate terms. And they're just kind of letting them balloon into these negative amortization situations. So be the hero here. It's our time to shine as brokers. We have the client's best interest, and we are going to be proactive about educating them on how they can navigate this trigger rate situation. Number 9, of course, I talked about B2B as well as organic ways to generate business, but nothing really compares to the deal flow that's available to you if you're willing to invest in lead generation from SEO and social media. And I highly recommend that you don't do this if you're not already familiar with database administration and Google Ads. You'll burn a lot of money. Yeah, you can learn it eventually, but you're probably better off hiring someone. At Matrix, we offer lead generation for our brokers. Sean has been doing it for over 7 years. We generated over 10,000 leads last year, and we give them out in a round robin. So that's how we manage it. Some of our agents also choose to use outside ad agencies or lead generation companies. However, there's a few dangers there, namely that they can sell the same lead to multiple agents and there's no real accountability there. So definitely do your research and make sure that you have a credible agency. But The typical amount that you're going to pay per lead is somewhere between $100 and $150 a head. But the bonus is these are people that are at their desk, it's midnight, and they're searching power of sale mortgage, right? Or second mortgage, debt consolidation, CRA debt mortgage, whatever it is, okay? They search these things, they stumble upon your keywords, they fill out your web form. Guys, they need you. All you have to do is call them and do the 10-minute qualification I just spoke of. See if you can help. But there's a reason that these leads are extremely expensive, right? If you're paying $5 a lead, it's probably a garbage lead. So be careful, if it is too good to be true, it probably is. And if it is expensive, make sure that they're well vetted, but you should be converting strangers from the internet at a rate of about 30%. And if you do the math, if you pay $3,000, you get 30 leads roughly, and you convert 30% of them over the span of 120 days, that more than pays for itself. It more than pays for itself. Plus, you have expanded your database. You have a larger mailing list. You can keep marketing to these people. Of course, as you know, it takes an average of 7 touch points before a sale is made. So be patient, but it is a long game and it is a lucrative game. We've had agents close north of 100 deals on our ad campaigns, and it's definitely a surefire way to stay very, very busy. And if you are that busy, get help. Get the help you need. Wait, I think I missed one. No, okay. There was one I wanted to mention about really using an underwriter. If you aren't passionate about working with lender underwriters, about packaging deals, crunching numbers, like if you're a hyper introvert and you just can't stand the idea of constantly talking to people and networking and schmoozing and things like that, fine, do your own underwriting. However, honestly, your time is best spent managing your accounts, getting out there, networking, being in people's faces, conducting webinars, being on podcasts, creating a personal brand, and becoming a person of influence. Because ultimately, what is going to make money, what the real revenue generating activity is getting and acquiring clients, okay? Maintaining those relationships, getting your renewal business, getting referrals. That's what's going to determine your bottom line. An underwriter can do that for you. They can do all of those deals for you, push them through to the end. If they can do it 80% as well as you, let it go. Okay, they're ready to handle it. Jump in when you need to, but let them handle the daily stuff so you can free yourself up to work on getting more business. That's going to be the key defining thing to your success, is letting that rein go. Okay, so my tip number 10, technically, and it's a really great sales tip that I learned. Read the book Pitch Anything from Oren Klaff, because he is a triple OG of sales psychology. He raises capital to the tune of hundreds of millions, and he is dealing with the sharkiest of sharks. So he has a really great podcast, the Oren Klaff Project. You can also get into, but I do highly recommend you read his books. And in it, he shared a few different ways to connect with clients. I'm going to share one with you now, and I really liked it. So he cleverly asks, after doing the initial thing with the clients, he'll reach out in an email or text or call and say, hey, what's your top 10 favorite movies? And often, maybe you could say top 5, but if they reply and they give you something to work with, like, oh, Lord of the Rings is my favorite movie, right? You can start just going in on the Lord of the Ring riffs. You could be like, hey, how's the Precious? Or, One Ring to Rule Them All. Or, oh, I'm just, holed up in Rivendell. Or how's the Shire? You can start to use this common ground and common language as a frame and little inside joke with your clients, and really help to solidify that connection you have with them. So it really starts to be more fun, to be frank. and you'll find out way more about them in terms of, maybe they love gangster movies and you do too. And that opens a whole new door for you. So I highly recommend asking something like, what are your top 10 or top 5 favorite bands or movies? And then you can really work with that as a basis and foundation for your relationship with your clients if you don't have much other common ground. So these are my 10 tips, and I would honestly love to hear feedback. You can use the comments and write a question if you have any questions. If you'd like to talk to me some more, I offer some LinkedIn coaching for those that are looking to build their brand. Matrix, of course, is always welcoming other agents. If you want to talk about that, we can do that. And if you honestly just wanted to hang out, talk about anything at all, I'm more than welcome. I love collaboration. I love my community. And I really hope that you got lots of value out of this conversation. That's it. Ciao.